There are a lot of ways that first-time homebuyers can make mistakes that cost them thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars. If you're a first-time homebuyer or a homebuyer in general, then you need to watch this video because I'm going to tell you about 6 common costly mistakes and what you can do to make sure you don't make them. What's up, everyone? My name's Josh Crown. I'm an elite agent that partners with WhatcomCountyHomes.net. We're a realtor that's brokered by EXP. I do not want you to make these costly mistakes. So watch this video and then give me a call. My contact info is in the description below. We can schedule a buyer consultation to make sure your home buying process is as smooth as possible and completely free of these costly mistakes. One of the most common first-time homebuyer mistakes that I've seen as a realtor is buyers going to look at homes before they're pre-approved to buy a home. This isn't the most costly mistake that you're going to see, but it is going to cost you in time and could cause you some disappointment. I can't tell you how many times I've seen buyers go to look at homes and then find out they're approved for way less, and they were all excited about the homes they were going to go see. They thought they were going to get this perfect home in the Columbia neighborhood, but really they can't even afford to be in Bellingham at all. Or their expectations have to completely shift, and that's really a tough adjustment for people, and people can be really disappointed by that. Now, say maybe you do have a really good idea of what you're approved for, even though you're not actually approved yet, and you're going to look at homes and you find your dream home. Your dream home comes on the market and you're stoked, you want to make a move fast. Well, you're not even set up to make a move yet because you have to get pre-approved still. And so you have to contact the lender, send them all your documentations. They have to look through it all and make sure that you can get pre-approved. That can get done fairly quickly, but it still does take time while other buyers could be making their offer on that day while you're working on getting your pre-approval set up because they have already taken the time to get their pre-approval. Maybe it's underwritten, so their offer is a little more solid than yours, and so you just lost your dream home because you didn't take the time to get pre-approved ahead of time, again causing more disappointment. And my last point on this one, because of the reasons that we've talked about, that you may not be able to get approved for what you want to get approved for, and you're not able to act on your dream home even if it were to pop on the market, you're kind of wasting a bit of time, not only for your real estate agent, but you're also wasting time of the seller who may have to vacate their home for you to come and see it. But you're also wasting your own time, and time is a limited commodity, and while it could maybe be useful to go and see homes that you're not able to buy yet, at the end of the day, your time is probably better spent elsewhere. A second costly first-time homebuyer mistake that I've seen is people who think that they can time the market. And the reality is that nobody can predict what's going to come. For example, people thought COVID was going to slow the housing market, when instead it boomed it up. And this year, people thought interest rates were going to drop by summer and interest rates were going to be in the 5s by the end of the year, but right now we're currently looking at 7.5 interest rates. Ivy League graduates, Wall Street experts, they're not predicting the market correctly. I'm not sure why your average Joe thinks that they can predict the market, especially people who aren't in real estate 24/7. There are buyers out there that wasted 2019, 2020, 2021 not buying their first home because prices were outrageous and they were going to come down at any moment. Well, now it's 2023, they still haven't bought their home and interest rates are high, prices haven't really gone down. Now they're not buying because they're still waiting either for prices to drop, but also for interest rates to drop. And they could have made tons of equity in their home because prices rose a lot over the last few years. Now those buyers could have made loads of equity over the last couple of years, but instead they're still waiting for that 2008 market crash to happen again. But really, that market crash was a product of predatory lending, where there's been many laws and policies and checks and balances implemented to keep that from happening again. So really, at the end of the day, there is still a huge inventory shortage in almost all of the US, and that is going to be the case for the foreseeable future. So as long as there's an inventory shortage, it's unlikely that prices are going to drop at a significant rate, that you're going to see such a big crash like you did in 2008. And what you really need to do is just to buy when it makes sense for you. If in 2023 it makes sense for you to buy and you have the money to buy and you could do a 2-1 buy down to get your interest rate down and you need to get a home, well, great, buy a home. If you don't need a home right now and interest rates are too high and you'd be spending too much money because mortgage payments are outrageous right now, well then wait. If renting's cheaper for you and that's what makes sense for you in your position or your family, then do that. A third first-time homebuyer mistake that could be super costly for you is having rose-colored glasses for a home. And what I mean by that is that you become so enamored and fall in love with a house that you fail to consider all the factors and look at all the little details. I'll use myself for example. The second home that I bought, I went and saw it, and the kitchen had recently been remodeled, and I was like, wow, this is really beautiful. I love it. And while it did look very aesthetic, I failed to realize that they likely did the remodel themselves, and they likely didn't have much experience when they did it. So I've actually had to spend quite a bit of money fixing their mistakes from that remodel. Another way I see this impact buyers is that they don't consider some things like the school district or their commute to work, or how much work the yard is going to be, or the walkability of the neighborhood, or how much utilities are going to cost. There are a number of factors that you have to consider when you're buying a home. It's shocking how often you'll see a buyer buy a house, and within a year or two, because they didn't love it or didn't consider all the factors, it's back on the market, costing them tens of thousands of dollars in taxes, fees, and commissions, putting their home back on because they didn't love it and didn't consider everything. If you're worried about getting the home, if it's a competitive situation, you can still put your offer in. You have your inspection period to consider these factors. That's part of what the inspection period is for. Take your time, slow down a little bit, and consider all the factors when looking at a home. And now you're not going to find everything you love. You have to make sure that these are things that you can live with, and you don't get so in love with a home that you don't consider some of those items. Take some time and think about it. And on the other side of that, waiting for the dream perfect home. And now I'm not saying you shouldn't wait for a home that you love or a home that you really like, but what I'm saying is that your dream home may not exist. It might not be out there, or it may not even be in your budget if it is out there. I have one buyer that I was working with for a long period of time. She was looking for a single-story home with a 3-car garage on over an acre that is updated and they don't need to put any work into, in a very desirable part of the county to be under $800,000. And guess what? She's going to be looking for that home for the rest of her life because she wasn't willing to make any compromises. What we've created with WhatcomCountyHomes.net is we created a home buyer checklist. If you want it, write a home buyer checklist in the comments below. I'll send it to you. But what it does is it helps you differentiate between what you need and what you want. What are the must-haves in a house? Say maybe you must live in Linden, or you must live in Bellingham, or it must be a single-story home because you're getting older, versus I really want granite countertops, or I really want stainless steel appliances. So it helps you differentiate between must-haves and wants. And what you really need to look for is a home that has your must-haves and has some of your wants, but you can also add some of your wants over time to your house. Again, comment below if you want that home buyer checklist. It really helps you make informed decisions instead of making emotional decisions. And I really advise you to not just wait for that perfect dream house, because again, it may not exist, and therefore you'll just rent and rent and rent, and you'll never end up buying that home because, well, it never comes on the market. A fifth first-time homebuyer mistake that can cost you a lot of money is not taking the time to find the right lender. Having the right lender can save you a lot of money in a lot of different ways. Let's start with looking at interest rates. Say you only looked at one lender and they offered you a 6.25% interest rate. Had you gone and talked to a second lender that could have given you a 6% interest rate, well, now you're spending tens of thousands of dollars more on your loan over the life of it with a 6.25% interest rate, instead of had you taken the time to go and find what lenders have the best interest rates, and then you're saving loads of money on the life of your loan. Secondly, some lenders aren't as committed to you closing your deal as much as you wish they'd be. Some lenders only answer 9 to 5, or maybe they don't answer at all, or they take a long time to get your pre-approval or to respond to certain things or to order the appraisal, and they're not in communication with you or your agent. Well, that's not what you want to have at all. That can cost you your home. That could even cost you your earnest money. Have a lender that communicates well, a lender that's committed to your close, and then you could save more money that way as well. Now, a third way that not having the right lender could cost you lots of money is if you have a lender that doesn't take the time to get to know you and explain to you all the loan programs so that they can help you decide on what is the best loan program for you. If you have a lender that gets to know you, gets to know your situation, and better explain what loan program is your best option and what would save you the most money. So as you can see, there are a number of ways that lenders can either cost you or save you money. With WhatcomCountyHomes.net, we have preferred lenders. If you want to get connected to them, again, you can comment below and ask to be connected to our preferred lenders, and I will give you a few different contacts. A sixth very common first-time homebuyer mistake that I have seen is first-time homebuyers using the listing agent to represent them on the buyer's side of a transaction. Oftentimes, first-time homebuyers may meet the listing listing agent by just going to an open house and then the listing agent's there and says, hey, oh yeah, I'll represent you, and I'll even take 1% off the commission, so I'll just get 5% instead of 6%. That's something that listing agents often will do. It's a mistake because the listing agent's job is to get the seller as much money as possible. So while they could be saving 1% on commission, maybe the home is listed significantly over asking. Now you don't have an agent that's representing you in your best interests. You just have a listing agent who's excited about getting 5% commission on this deal. You also don't have anybody negotiating for you, and you don't have anybody who can actually represent your interest and the seller's interest, who they already know, who they already are working with, and do both fairly. You need to make sure that you have somebody that can represent your interests, that can make sure that you're not buying a home significantly over asking, that can share some comparable homes in the market with you and can give you an unbiased perspective. If you do find yourself in this situation, you have a listing agent offering to write on both ends of the deal, I encourage you to do one of two things. First, you can thank them for their offer and say, actually, could you introduce me to some other agent at your office and I will have them write the deal for me. Likely, the listing agent will still be excited about that because they can get a referral fee when they refer you to another agent in their office. The second thing that you could do is you can contact me or one of the other elite agents that are partnered with WhatcomCountyHomes.net. My contact information is in the description below. And so that's what I encourage you to do to make sure that you're not costing yourself money and you're having your interests best represented. Thank you for taking the time to watch my video. I hope it was beneficial and saved you tens of thousands of dollars because you learned everything you need to know to not make these costly homebuyer mistakes. Subscribe to my channel. I'm going to be making more and more content every single week. We'll talk soon.